Hello and welcome to your yoga practice. My name is Raven and I'll be guiding you today. At any time throughout this practice, feel free to take a different variation. Feel free to take a pose that's calling to you, hold anything longer if you'd like to. Really make your practice your own here. So this class today will be focusing on opening up through the hips and then strengthening through the core and the quads primarily. So we will hit other things, but that is going to be the primary focus today. If you've been sitting around a lot like me, or you're stuck inside because you're watching this during quarantine right now, you could probably use some openness through your hips. So that's what we're going to focus on. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. If you have a block, go ahead and grab that. If you don't, no worries, you can do everything without it. So we are gonna start our practice supine today. If you'd like, you can add that block underneath your shoulder blades, just like this, so you can open up your chest here for a nice little chest opener. So go ahead and find a comfortable position on the ground, supine, with that block creating that chest opener if you'd like to. We can be flat on the mat, but just go ahead and take a few breaths here. Make this your deepest breath you've taken today. Feel yourself melting into your mat. Take a nice deep breath in through the belly and exhale, releasing all that air. Inhale will fill those lungs completely fresh, and exhale, releasing all the air currently from our lungs. Now, if we'd like to place our hands on our stomach, we should be able to feel that belly rise with every inhale and fall with every exhale. In through the nose and out through the nose. Take those deep breaths. With every exhale, go ahead, release some tension. Release any anxiety. We'll exhale, releasing our fears. Exhale, releasing anything that doesn't serve us right now, anything that can distract us from our practice, from our own selves, and from our present moment here today. With every inhale, go ahead, breathe in positive energy, breathe in light. We'll inhale openness, inhale strength, and inhale focus. If we'd like to set a mantra for our practice, we can go ahead and do so now. Continuing to focus on that breath. Nice deep belly breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead and start incorporating some movement with our breath. So whenever we take that next inhale, we're going to inhale, stretch those arms overhead, and then exhale, gently bring them back down by our sides. Inhale, arms come up overhead, and exhale, they come back down by our sides. So really feeling how that breath guides that movement here. We're setting the precedent for the rest of our practice. We're focusing on connecting our breath to our motion here. Our breaths control our bodies. They control our emotions. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. And exhale, they come back down by our sides. We'll take one more deep breath like this. And then on that next inhale, we'll inhale, sweep the arms overhead, and then exhale, slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, tucking that chin into the chest and reaching out towards those toes. If we have that block behind us, we can go ahead and remove it. Exhale, we're gonna slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. Arms sweep back overhead. Inhale, we tuck that chin, roll up, activating through that core, warming up through that spine. We can flex through those feet and feel a nice little stretch for our hamstrings at the top here. Really using and warming through that core. Inhale, we roll up. Exhale, we roll back down. We'll go ahead, take 2 more of these. Nice full rolls. Let that breath control your movement. Take it at your own pace. Then whenever we're ready, on that 3rd breath, we'll inhale. Tuck that chin to the chest, roll up one more time. Stretch out, and then this time we're gonna stay here. So go ahead, find that comfortable seating position. We're gonna go ahead, keep those legs extended out nice and long in front of us. We're gonna go ahead, point those toes into the air, flexing those feet. We're gonna inhale, nice tall spine here. Exhale, we'll walk those hands down our legs. Feeling that nice stretch through our hamstrings. Now we can think of all of our poses as a little journey here. So with each inhale, we can think about bringing a little bit of a flatter back here. And then with each exhale, we can draw our upper body a little closer to our legs. It's okay if we don't reach our feet. If we'd like a little more stretch, we can grab that block and place it over our feet, stretching farther that way. Just listen to your body here. Do what it needs. Listen to it. Check in with how we're feeling today. Just continue to open up through the hamstrings, the back of the legs here. So with each exhale, we're gently coming a little closer to those legs here. Inhale, thinking openness through those hamstrings. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then on that next inhale, we'll go ahead and walk those hands back up. Sitting straight up, we're gonna go ahead and bring those feet in. We're gonna put one leg down and then bring the other leg over the top of it. If this isn't comfortable for you, you are more than welcome to sit crisscross. But this is our half lotus here. So we're gonna inhale, bring those arms overhead, and then exhale, we're gonna stretch out nice and long in front of us. So we should be feeling a nice stretch here in that top leg. We want to feel it in the side of the leg, so that outer thigh, and in that glute, maybe a bit into that hip here. So we can continue relaxing into this stretch. Releasing any tension, we can relax through those face muscles here. We can continue to walk our hands a little farther. We'll go ahead, take one more deep breath here. And as we're ready, we'll go ahead and inhale, walk those hands back into center. Exhale, we're gonna switch legs here. So even if we're just sitting crisscross, switch which leg is crossed over the other. Inhale, arms sweep overhead. And then exhale, we're gonna stretch out nice and long. You maybe feel how this side feels different from the first. Breathe openness into that outside thigh, that top hip, that glute here. Just trying to release any tension we might still be holding in our body. Relaxing into our pose, but still holding strong. And go ahead, take one more deep breath here. And as we're ready, we'll inhale, walk those hands back into center here. We're gonna uncross those legs, bring the feet out in front of us. And we're gonna come into our boat pose. So whenever we're ready, we can inhale one leg up, we can inhale two legs up, but we're challenging that core. So we wanna have a nice flat back here. We can grab behind the knees, we can leave the hands down for stability, or we can come up to a little balance here. So wherever we're feeling comfortable, if we'd like to increase the challenge on our core, we can go ahead and extend those legs nice and straight. So go ahead, take any option that suits you today. Use that core, find that strength. Keep a nice straight back here. Straighten out through that spine. We'll take one more deep breath. And then exhale, we'll slowly, with control, lower all the way down into our mat. And sink in. We're gonna go ahead, inhale those knees into our chest, and we can rock side to side a little here, massaging out through that spine. And then whenever we're ready, we're gonna exhale and plant those feet down. So we want our heels to be right below our knees here. And we're gonna come into a glute bridge. So we're gonna bring our weight into our shoulders and our heels, and we're gonna send our hips into the air. So whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead, breathe out and send those hips up. We're gonna engage those inner thighs in towards each other, even though they're probably not touching here. We'd like the weight to be out of our neck. We should be able to move that head side to side. And the weight's just in our shoulders. So if we have that block and we'd like a little assistance, we can slide it underneath our glutes for a supported bridge. We can also walk our shoulders underneath of us, interlace our fingers under us for a chest opener here if we like to be open through our chest today. take those nice deep breaths, focusing on that breath here. We have those hands underneath of us. We can go ahead and unlace our fingers and walk our shoulders back out. Inhale, send those hips a little higher. And then on that next inhale, we can go ahead, inhale one leg into the air. So this is bringing that strengthening focus a little bit more into the back of the leg, into that hamstring. We can exhale, send that leg back down. We'll inhale, bring the opposite leg up this time, holding nice and strong here, continuing to breathe. And then exhale, we'll send that leg down. Inhale, hips a little higher, and exhale, we can gently bring them back down to the earth. Go ahead, inhale, hug those knees into the chest, and we can rock side to side here, massaging out through that spine once again. And as we're ready, we're going to take this side to side motion and bring it front to back. So, arching through our back here, rolling like a ball. Using that core to stop our momentum at the top here. Creating a little balance challenge for ourselves as we reach the top. Go ahead, once we're at the top, we're going to set those toes down and then bring those feet around behind us and come into our tabletop position. So in our tabletop position, we want to have our shoulders stacked right over our wrist. If our wrists are a little more sensitive, we can go ahead and double up our mat here, give them a little more padding. We can also take fist for wrist as an option. So we just make a little fist and stack those hands side by side, palms facing each other. Otherwise, our fingers are nice and spread out wide, coming into starfish hands here. Find that nice, straight, flat spine. So we're going to roll our hips a little in towards our belly button to take that arch out of our back. From here, we're going to go ahead and inhale, bend through the elbows, drop the belly to the earth, crown of the head reaches to the sky. And then exhale, we're going to arch through our spine, tuck our chin into the chest, and pull those shoulder blades apart. Go ahead, inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, tuck the chin, arch through our spine. This is our cat-cow here, and we can feel free to hold one pose or the other, whatever we feel called out to, whatever feels great on our spine here today. We can focus on opening up through the back and the chest if we'd like to, pulling those shoulder blades apart, pinching them together, whatever we need here. We'll go ahead, take 2 more breaths here, doing whatever we need to do. And whenever we're ready, we'll meet back in that tabletop position, nice neutral spine. Whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead and we'll inhale those left fingertips into the air, nice and straight in front of us. Hands about level with our shoulder here. Our chest is still square to the mat. And from here, we're going to go ahead and inhale that opposite leg that right leg out nice and long behind us. So we're still maintaining that neutral spine by using our core here. We're extending our fingertips and our wrist and our heels to opposite ends of the room. We can go ahead, roll out through the wrist, roll out through the ankle a little bit. And we're squaring our chest and our hips down to the mat. Go ahead, inhale, stretch nice and tall, nice and long. Relax through that shoulder. With the base shoulder, we can push the mat away a little bit here. Use that core for stability. Take one more deep breath. And then exhale, we can go ahead and release back down to the mat, coming back into our tabletop position. From here, we're going to go ahead and inhale those right fingertips in the air this time. Exhale, square that chest to the mat. Inhale, we'll come up with those left heels. So fingers and heels stretching to opposite ends of the room. We can take that little moment to roll out through the wrists and the ankles here. And then inhale, stretch them out nice and long. Using this moment to check in, squaring our chest, squaring our hips to the mat here. Making a nice long line between our fingertips and our heel. Nice neutral spine. Use that core, maintain that balance, that posture. We'll take one more deep breath here, and then exhale, we can slowly lower our hand and our knee back down. We'll come back over to the other side. We can inhale hand and foot up separately, or if we'd like to, we can inhale, stretching opposite hand, opposite foot. Finding that spinal balance. From here, we're gonna go ahead and challenge our balance a little farther. So as we're ready, we're gonna go ahead and gently guide that left fingertip out to the left side of the room, and then that right foot is gonna come over to the right side. So both are coming towards the midline of your body here and putting you off balance. So we're challenging that core a little more. We're still squaring the chest and the hips to the mat. We're still pushing the mat away with that base shoulder. Go ahead, inhale, come back center, and then exhale, slowly lower down. We'll go ahead, inhale, right fingertips, left toes up this time. Find that strong spinal balance. And as we're ready, we'll go ahead, guide that right arm over to the right side, and we'll slowly guide that left leg over to the left side towards the midline of the body. If there was a line intersecting our hips right now, and then continuing to go through, that's where we're trying to aim for our arm and our leg. Staying strong with that base shoulder and knee, squaring hips and chest towards the mat. Go ahead, take one more breath here. We'll inhale, come back center, and exhale. Go ahead, release back down to the mat. We'll take one more pose while we're here in that tabletop position. So as we're ready, we'll go ahead, inhale up, left fingertips, right toes. We're gonna go ahead, bend, exhale, bend through that knee behind us, and then we're gonna grab the inside of the foot with the hand. From here, we're gonna kick the foot into the hand and feel a nice stretch through our quad, through the front of our leg, through our thigh. We can open up through our chest a little bit here, but we're still squaring that hip down. Actively kicking, and one more breath. We'll go ahead, exhale, slowly lower back down. You're ready to take it over to the other side. Inhale up, right fingertips, left toes. We'll go ahead, exhale, bend through that knee. Guide that hand around behind us, grabbing the inside of the foot. We'll go ahead, kick that foot into the hand. Squaring those hips to the mat, feeling that nice stretch through the front of the leg. Go ahead, take one more deep breath here. And then exhale, we'll release, bringing our hand and foot back down to the mat. We'll go ahead, get ready for our first downward facing dog of class. So we're gonna extend our feet out nice and long behind us, coming into a plank. And then from here, we're just gonna send those hips back. Go ahead, pedal out through those feet really quick. Loosen out through the backs of the legs. We can bend through one knee, straightening the other. Focusing on that breath. Then once the backs of our legs feel nice and loose here, we're gonna go ahead and focus on that form in that downward dog. So we're gonna push the hips back. The top of the hip is coming towards the top of the thigh here. We're gonna push the mat away with those shoulders. So the shoulder blades will be slightly separated here. We're gonna release the neck so that the gaze is towards the toes, and then the heels are going to sink towards the mat. It's okay if they don't touch the mat right now. From here, we're going to go ahead and inhale those right toes into the air. Exhale, open up through that hip, taking one of our hip openers. So we're bending through that top knee and opening up our hip to the side of the room. We might even bring that gaze underneath our armpit and find our toes in the air there. It's okay if we can't see them. Take one more deep breath here. And as we're ready, we're gonna exhale, sweep the knee through and bring that knee to the same side elbow. Inhale, come back up, three-legged dog. Exhale, sweep through knee to nose here. Inhale, come back up, three-legged dog. And then exhale, sweep that leg through, knee to opposite elbow. Inhale, come back up. And then exhale, flex the foot, come back down to a downward facing dog. Go ahead, pedal out through those feet. Feel the difference in the legs. Take that breath. Find the restoration of this pose here. Whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead and inhale that left leg up this time. Exhale, bend through the knee, open up the hip to the side of the room. Taking that hip opener. Once again, we might bring that gaze underneath of the right armpit here and see those toes in the air. Breathing openness into that top hip. As we're ready, we can go ahead and exhale. We'll sweep this leg through, bringing knee to same side elbow. Inhale, come up, three-legged dog. Exhale, bring that knee to nose. Inhale, sweep up, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to opposite elbow. Inhale, come back up, three-legged dog. And then exhale, set that foot back down. One last time, we'll inhale. Bring that right toe in the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, sweep the knee through towards the nose, and then plant that foot in between the hands here. So we can go ahead and lower that back knee down. We're gonna go ahead and release the top of the foot to the mat. So coming into our low lunge here, we can rock side to side, front to back, whatever we need to release any tension we might have in our hips here. as we're ready, we'll go ahead and sink into this lunge. From here, we're gonna inhale, bring this right hand to the inside of the right leg, and then we're gonna heel toe that right foot over to the right edge of the mat. Our weight is gonna come into the outside edge of the foot, the knee is gonna come out nice and wide, and then we can stay up here. We can grab that block, come down to our elbows, or we can come down all the way to our forearms on the mat. So this is our lizard pose, and we should feel a nice openness through that hip. So just take a moment here, breathe into that hip, breathe openness into our body, relax any tension, release the muscles of the face. Take some deep breaths. We'll take one more deep breath here. And if we're not already onto our hands, we can go ahead, inhale, press up here. And then we're gonna go ahead, heel toe that foot back into the center here. We're gonna go ahead, curl our back toes under, lift the back knee, and then we're gonna inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, coming into our high lunge. So we can stay here, we can bring hands to prayer or heart center, or we can come out wide, opening up those hands, cactus arms. Go ahead, sink a little lower into that front leg, working the quad here. That front knee should still be behind those front toes. Take one more deep breath here. And then exhale, we're gonna go ahead and frame that front leg. We'll step that front foot back and take it through our first flow. First option, we can come down to our knees, onto a knee plank. And then we're gonna go ahead and exhale, slowly lower all the way down to the mat. The elbows stay nice and close into the sides. We'll inhale, lift the chest up. And then exhale, press the hands back down, curl the toes under, send the hips back, downward facing dog. That's our first option for our chaturanga flow. Our second option, if you'd like to follow along, we can go ahead and inhale, come into that plank. We're gonna send those shoulders over the fingertips here. Exhale, lower halfway down, elbows stay close into the spine. Inhale, release the tops of the feet to the mat. Our thighs stay hovered here. We're stretching up, upward facing dog. And then exhale, send those hips back, curl the toes under, downward facing dog. From here, we'll go ahead, inhale those left toes in the air this time. Exhale, bend through the knee, sweep the knee through. Plant that foot in between the hands, making sure the knee is behind the toes. We can adjust that foot as needed. Go ahead, exhale, set that back foot down. Release the toes to the mat. We'll go ahead, take any movement here. Forward, back motion, side to side movement, whatever we need. Go ahead, sink low into that lunge. Really stretching through the hips here. And whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead, inhale, bring that left hand inside the left foot, and then we're gonna heel toe that foot over to the outside edge of the mat. Our weight is gonna come into the outside edge of the foot, and then we're gonna send that knee over to the side. Once again, we can stay up here, we can come down to that block, whichever way it needs to be stacked, or we can come all the way down to the mat. So it's okay if one side is more flexible than the other. Just go ahead, listen to your body here. Take whatever variation we need. Treat each side independently. Breathe into that hip. Breathe openness into our body. Exhale any tension. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then if we're not already, palms to the mat, go ahead, press those palms down, lifting the body away from the earth, and we'll go ahead, heel toe that foot back in between the hands. We'll go ahead, curl those back toes under, lift the back knee, and then inhale, sweep up for our high lunge on the opposite side. So once again, we can just bring those arms overhead, hands can come to heart center, or we can send those elbows behind us for a nice cactus pose here. That knee stays behind the toe. Go ahead, sink a little deeper into the front leg. Use that core for stability, use it for balance. Focus on that breath here. We'll go ahead, take one more deep breath here. And then exhale, we'll frame those hands around the foot. We'll go ahead, step that foot back. And then we can have the option to take a flow here, or we can just meet in that downward facing dog. So take whatever variation we need. Listen to your body. Listen to yourself. Press back in that downward facing dog whenever we're ready. And go ahead, inhale, right toes into the air. Exhale, bend through the knee. Sweep the leg through, plant the foot between the hands. Inhale, we'll come up to that lunge. Exhale, we're gonna go ahead and open up to cactus here. Sink a little lower. And then from here, we're gonna open up into our warrior two. So on our next exhale, we're gonna go ahead and spin that back heel down so that our toes are facing the long edge of the mat here. We're taking a strong bend through that front leg, and then fingers are stretched opposite ends of the room here, right over the front and the back leg. Gaze comes over the front fingertips. We'll go ahead and roll those shoulders up, back, and down, releasing them down our spine. So if we want to check out the alignment of our feet, that front leg heel should be in the arch of the back leg's foot. So wherever we're at, that should be the alignment so that we're in the same plane here. Our hips are nice and even. Go ahead, take a strong bend through that front knee. Focus on that breath, release those shoulders, use that core. We're gonna go ahead and reverse our warrior here. So inhale, send those fingertips forward. Exhale, flip the palm, hand comes into the air, and then we can bring that gaze up to the top hand or over to the side of the room. We can go ahead, take that bottom hand, wrap it around behind us, or let it lay long down our back leg. So we should feel a nice stretch through the front side here. Some stretch, some strength. Go ahead, sink a little deeper through that front leg. I'll take one more deep breath here. And then inhale, we're gonna come back down, warrior two. And then for our exhale, we're gonna send that arm down. Opposite, that back arm comes up into the air here. And we're gonna come down to our side angle. So here, really important, we're keeping that top hip open. If we'd like to come down to that block on that bottom hand, we're more than welcome to. And then we can bring that gaze up to that top hand for a little stability challenge. Use that core. Open up the chest to the side of the room. Focus on that breath. Whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead, inhale, sweep back up to that warrior two, and then exhale, we're gonna cartwheel the arms down, framing that front foot, step it back, meeting the back leg, coming into that plank, and then taking it through that flow. We'll go ahead, do the same thing on the other side. So inhale, left toes in the air. Exhale, bend through the knee, plant the foot between the hands. Knee stays behind those toes. We'll inhale, bring those arms up. Exhale, take our expression of our lunge, whatever we'd like here. Sink a little deeper into that front leg. Focus on that breath. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead, spin that back heel down, open up, warrior two. So once again, those back toes are facing the long edge of the mat. We're bringing a strong bend through that front knee here. Weight is a lot into that front leg. That knee is going right over those toes. If we were to slide our feet together, that front heel would be in the back arch of the foot. Go ahead, extend those arms out long, roll those shoulders down, gaze over the front fingertips. We'll inhale, send the fingertips forward. Exhale, flip the palm, reverse our warrior. Breathe in, strengthening to that front side. Breathe in a nice stretch here. Sink a little lower through that front leg. Use that core. Remember, our gaze can be up to our top hand. It can be over to the side of the room here. We'll take one more deep breath. And on the next inhale, we'll come back, warrior two. Exhale, we'll go ahead, send that arm down, back arm overhead for our side angle. Opening up that top hip here. We're in one plane. Can imagine ourselves in between two panes of glass here. You might feel a nice stretch through the inner thigh of the front leg. Nice opening through that back hip. We'll go ahead, take one more deep breath here. And then on that next inhale, we'll come back up. Warrior two, exhale, we'll cartwheel those arms down, framing the front foot. Step that foot back. We'll take it through our flow, meeting in that downward facing dog. Go ahead, inhale, right toes in the air. Exhale, bend through the knee, plant the foot in between the hands. Inhale, we come up to our high lunge. Exhale, open up to cactus. On that next exhale, go ahead, spin that back heel down, open up. Warrior two. Inhale, fingertips forward. Exhale, flip the palm, reverse that warrior. Inhale, come back, warrior two. Exhale, come down, side angle. Inhale, come back, warrior two. And then this time we're gonna go ahead and take a bit of an oblique challenge here. So we can bring those arms up overhead, nice and extended. We can bring them down by our sides or hands to heart center. So the farther up our arms are, the more challenging this is gonna be. But we're gonna go ahead and send our upper body over the front leg and then come back up. So exhale, extend, inhale, come back up. So we're working that oblique in the back here. It's pulling us up and lowering us down. Relax those shoulders. Take nice deep breaths here. Strengthening through that core. Take one more deep breath here. And whenever we're ready, we'll go ahead and come back to that warrior two. And then exhale, cartwheel the arms down, frame the front foot, step it back, and take it through our flow. Meeting in that downward facing dog whenever we're ready to continue. We'll go ahead, inhale the left leg up in the air. Exhale, bend through the knee. Plant the foot in between the hands. We'll inhale, come up. Exhale, open up. Cactus arms. That front knee is behind our toes. Go ahead, sink a little deeper into that front leg. Focus on that breath here. Open up through that chest. The next exhale, we'll go ahead, spin that back heel down, come into that warrior two. We'll inhale, fingertips forward, exhale, flip the palm, reverse our warrior. Inhale, come back, warrior two. Exhale, come down, side angle. Keeping that strong bend through the front leg. We'll inhale, come back, warrior two. And then exhale, extend those arms up in the air. Inhale, sink down. Exhale, come back up. We come down. Exhale, we come back up. And remember, the farther up our arms are, the harder our body has to work, the harder that oblique has to work. So we can have those arms overhead. We can have them down at cactus. We can keep them at heart center. Just whatever we need here. Continuing to use that breath, really sinking down into that front leg, using that back oblique to pull ourselves up with here. go ahead, take 2 more deep breaths here. And then exhale, we'll go ahead, frame that front foot. Step that front foot back and take it through our flow, meeting back in that downward facing dog. We'll go ahead, inhale, come forward into that plank. Exhale, we can drop down to the knees or stay on those toes. And then we're gonna take 10 yogi push-ups. So elbows stay nice and close into the body. We're making a nice straight line from the head to the toes or the head to the knees. And that gaze is a little bit in front of our mat here. Nice neutral spine. Exhale on the way down. Inhale on that way back up. Strengthening through those triceps, strengthening through that core. Once we're done with these, we go ahead, exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. And then inhale, we're gonna plant those elbows right underneath our shoulder blades and extend those hands out directly in line with elbows. So forearms are on the ground, parallel to each other. This is our Sphinx pose. So we're stretching and strengthening through our low back here. Now, if this is a little much, we can walk those elbows away from our body and decrease that angle, but we want to push down through those shoulders a little here. If this isn't enough, we can walk those elbows back and increase that curve in the back a little more here. So just breathe in here, inhaling and exhaling. Feel that strength through our back. We can squeeze our glutes a little here as well. We'll go ahead, take 2 more deep breaths here. And then exhale, we're gonna go ahead, lower down, place those hands under those shoulder blades. Inhale, push back into that downward facing dog. Oh, sorry, that child's pose. Nice and low here. We'll take a nice little stretch. We can massage that forehead into the mat a little here. Stretch those hands out nice and wide. Maybe roll out through those wrists if we need it. Then whenever we're ready, we're going to inhale, come back into that knee plank. Curl those toes under, send the hip, downward facing dog. From here, we'll go ahead, inhale those right toes into the air. Exhale, bend through the knee, plant the foot in between the hands. We'll go ahead, lower that back leg down. Release the top of the foot to the mat. Come into that low lunge for just a moment here. Loosening out through that hip. And then we'll go ahead, inhale, send the hip back. So those hips are over that back knee. Our front leg is extended, knee nice and straight, toes in the air. And then exhale, we're gonna go ahead and bring our upper body over the lower body here. We can grab that block, bring the ground a little closer to us if we need. If full splits is in our practice, we can go ahead and take that variation now. We'll continue breathing here, opening up through the back of the leg, the hamstring. If we're in that full split, we can go ahead and make our way back up to that half split. And we'll take one more deep breath here. And as we're ready, we'll go ahead, inhale, bend through that knee, bring weight back into that foot. We're gonna heel toe that foot to the opposite edge of the mat, and then lay that shin down parallel to the top of the mat. So option here to grab that block. We can place it underneath of our hip for some extra support if we'd like to, but we're in our pigeon pose. We can come down to our sleeping pigeon by coming down to those forearms. We can also come down all the way, if it's in our reach, to the mat. Just releasing here, breathing into that hip, opening through that hip. Just checking in with how that body feels right now. Accepting it for where it's at today. Each day changes. Just learning to accept our bodies for where it's at and being grateful for coming to our practice and going through the process. Being grateful that we can strengthen ourselves and increase our flexibility and our inner peace. We'll go ahead, take one more deep breath here. And then as we're ready, we'll go ahead, inhale, press up, back, place those hands into the earth. We're gonna go ahead, curl those back toes under, lift the back knee, and press those hips back into that downward facing dog. We'll go ahead, inhale, left toes in the air this time. Exhale, bend through the knee, plant that foot between the hands. Go ahead, lower that back knee down, release the back toes to the mat. Find that low lunge for a moment here. Stretching out through that hip flexor. And then we'll go ahead, inhale, send those hips back, flex through that extend through that front leg, point those toes into the air. And then we're gonna go ahead, come down, releasing that upper body down to the mat, down to the block. We're coming into that full split if it's in our practice here. So flexing through that foot, extending through that leg. We're feeling that nice stretching through our hamstrings here, squaring the hips to the top of the mat. Continuing to breathe, openness through the front of the back of the front leg. Just relaxing and using that breath here. If we're in that full split, we can go ahead and make our way back to our half split. And on that next inhale, we can go ahead, bend through that knee, bring the weight back into the front foot. We can go ahead, heel toe that foot to the opposite edge of the mat, lay that shin down parallel, and then take our pigeon pose on the opposite side here. Using that block for support if we need to. Sitting up on those hips, not allowing them to fall to one side or the other. Breathing openness into the hips here. Feeling that nice stretch. Continuing to breathe. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here. And then as we're ready, we can go ahead and press those palms back down into the mat. And then we're gonna make our way over to one hip and then bring that back leg in front of us here. We'll go ahead, bring ourselves back a little farther onto our mat. And then we're gonna inhale, nice tall spine here. Exhale, slowly lower down, using that core all the way down here. And then gently coming down to the mat. We'll go ahead, come into our Savasana, our final relaxation. You can feel free to stay here as long as you like. We'll go ahead and begin relaxing through the body. We'll start at the toes. We'll let the feet fall wide here. Letting the toes fall to either edge of the mat. We'll release any tension through the calves, the shins. We'll keep a gentle bend in the knees, letting them fall out nice and wide. We'll go ahead and release any tension through the back and the front of the thigh. We'll relax through the glutes. Release any tension in our hips. We'll relax through the core. Relax our back muscles. Go ahead and release any tension in our shoulders. Relax through the arms, letting the hands fall nice and wide. We'll release through the throat. Relax the jaw. Let the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. We'll let the eyelids hang heavy, maybe drifting closed. We'll let the eyebrows fall away from each other, relaxing the muscles in our face. And we'll begin to empty our mind, letting everything non-existing in our present moment, just taking it and putting it off to the side of our mat. And releasing here. Feeling the earth holding you up. And letting our conscious thoughts drift away. If we'd like to, we can continue our Savasana. If we're ready, we can bring that attention back to our breath. Feeling how our belly rises with every inhale and falls with every exhale. We can begin to bring movement back into the body. We can wiggle through the fingers, wiggle through the toes, roll out through the wrist and the ankles. You can take little bends through the knees and the elbows. We can slowly make our way to one side using our bicep as a pillow. Just take a moment here to express gratitude to yourself for practicing today, and gratitude to your bodies for their strength. As we're ready, we can go ahead and gently press ourselves up into a comfortable seated position. And we'll take a final breath together, inhaling, arms overhead. And then exhale, press palms together. We'll go ahead, pause at the forehead for kind thoughts, the mouth for kind words, and the hearts for kind intentions. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Raven, and if you'd like to see any other videos, any particular flows, just drop something in the comments. If you liked this video, please like it. If you'd like to see more exercises by me, please subscribe. I do cardio strength, bar, and obviously yoga. But thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.